Namaste, everyone. In today's discussion, we are going to dive into managing and overcoming your self-doubt. We get self-doubt when our past gets too burdensome. Okay, so that past can be childhood, it can be relationships, friendships, our past. When we view our past as a mistake, as a regret, as a guilt, as a shame or judgment, what happens is that we second guess ourselves. And when we second guess ourselves long enough, we no longer trust ourselves. So then when we don't trust ourselves, what happens? Self-doubt prevails over self-trust. So we never want that to happen, right? We never want our past to become so burdensome where we feel so much shame, so much judgment that we begin to second guess and then second guess, like, why did that happen? Why did I do that? The regret, the guilt, and then we don't trust ourselves and we don't trust our decisions. We don't trust our intuition. We kind of find ourselves in limbo, okay, where we know that we could be growing, okay, because that's kind of when we experience self-doubt, a good dose of self-doubt, it simply means that we want to grow. And depending on how much we want to grow is how much doubt we're going to have. So they're kind of, if you really want to grow, you're going to have a lot of doubt with that, okay? So when you have self-doubt, just simply recognize that you're wanting to grow in many ways, okay? We want to grow. That's like a tree. We're not meant to just we're meant to grow, okay? So managing that self-doubt is checking in with your sabotage. Okay, sabotage is what we call rejecting our feelings, ignoring our feelings, escaping our feelings. Our feelings are our guidance. They're our compass. And when we sabotage ourselves, usually it comes when we do not allow ourselves to feel into what is around us, into this decision, into this circumstance, into this environment, into this course. Our feeling body is our compass. If we really tap into our feeling and really get to know our body, really get to know the sensations that move through us, our gut, which is our second brain, you can call it that navel below the belly button, it will protect us. It will let us know, alert, alert. It will let us know this is, flowy. So that feeling energy is when we feel flowy, there's something that feels flowy. Usually that's an indication that there's energy there that is for you. But when it feels kind of tight, it's saying that energy is not flowing freely for you. So what we want is we want our energy to be flowing freely. Okay? We don't want our energy to be, trapped and uptight and rigid and kind of serious. No. We want our energy to be free-flowing. Okay? The more that our energy is free-flowing through our mind, through our heart, through our body, through our aura, the more creative, enthusiastic, and visionary we can be. The more abundance we can hold. So abundance is very much equivalent to how much freed up energy you got in your aura, your mind, your body, and your feeling energy. So the moment we start to feel, you could say, abundance is also equivalent to gratitude. The moment we start to get really serious with our past and really like that whole kind of that saint sinner, shame, judgment, and I'm going to hell because I made a mistake and I'm continuing to suffer in that mistake until I die. Okay, when we get really serious like that, basically that gratitude, that abundance, which abundance also represents innovation, to be innovative, to be creative, to see things from a higher perspective, to look at your life through self-psychology, through self-healing. Okay? So when we become very serious, our past becomes extremely burdensome. And that past, like I said, is the reason why we want to grow, but then we're like, I don't know. No. maybe not, kind of thing. So when you see people who are out there in the world, okay, they try things. I like to use Jim Carrey because Jim Carrey is like, okay, even Dr. Seuss, for example, they're experimentative with their creation. Their body, their mind. They're out there. They want to learn, and a part of learning, as we know as a child, but we don't really understand as an adult, which is kind of a little weird, is that a part of learning is that we're gonna have to embrace that it's a process and it's a practice. So everything about children is a process. Everything learning, you gotta learn math 1, math 2, math 3, and then no one's like, oh my. It's a process, and the practice is you gotta study it. You gotta reflect on it. You gotta look at how you're sabotaging yourself, and you could say confusing your chance at having a breakthrough. That's what when we sabotage, let's say we're taking a test and we really start to kind of thing, what we can do is we can confuse our chance to have a breakthrough. And that, we talk about confuse, I mean all that self-doubt gets in, and then we start to distrust ourselves, and then everything that we've learned, it just doesn't really, it can't come through because we're too tight. So, our mind is brilliant. It absorbs information really well. But when we get uptight, that information can't flow freely through us. And then when we're taking that test, it's like everything goes blank. What's going on? It's because we're too serious. We're too uptight. The energy can't flow. It's because we're that self-doubt, the second guessing. So when I see Jim Carrey, very free-flowing kind of person, very free-flowing and very magnetic because of that. Or even Tony Robbins, he may not be, we call a comedian, but he has a lot of energy that's free-flowing through him. Therefore, he's very adaptable, he's very changeable, he's also very sharp. He can change directions very quickly. He can change directly, like with a sense of wit, from one group of people to the next, to the next, to the next. And a part of that is you can see both Jim Carrey and Tony Robbins, they are totally different kind of, individuals. But what they have in common is that they play. Both Tony Robbins, Jim Carrey, they have a past. Okay? They do. And the past can be burdensome if they allow it to be a serious one. They allow it to be really heavy-duty serious. But they chose to play. When I see Jim Carrey's house with all these paintings everywhere on the wall, it looks like some art gallery. I'm like, that is him playing with his emotions, with his feelings. When I see Tony Robbins, you can say, doing the whole let's just, ecstatic dance kind of thing. He's playing with the energy. So when you play, and I think that's why my little angel wings are coming off the wall. When you play with that energy, especially when you're about to get into, some breakthrough, okay, such as you do some ecstatic dance before you do a test, or you start to, maybe listen to a really good song before you do a test to really free some energy, because then when you get into, we call what, seems serious, as in, okay, I have to, use my practice, and I have to overcome this, whatever it is. It could be a math test. It could be I have to overcome this trauma so that I can move on and move forward and feel more free and to grow in new ways. When we come from a place of play, that self-psychology that we have, Jim Carrey is all, everything is a self-psychology, acting, and then Tony Robbins, everything he's doing with his motivational speeches is a self-psychology that he's basically creating a space for those people to have with themselves, and then we call it group psychology. And when it comes to self-doubt, it's egging us, I like to say it's egging us on. So it doesn't go away, and that's kind of thing. It doesn't go away unless we face it, kind of thing, and we get fearless with it. And I see fearless not as carelessness, not as recklessness, not as, I'm just gonna F it and I'm just gonna do whatever and do me, and then, no, no, no. Fearless is you trust yourself so much. You're not going to let any sort of slander, whatever sort of polarity experience that comes your way, allow it to belittle you and shrink your sense of, this is me. I am that I am. You know what Jesus Christ says, I am that I am. You're not going to let anything kind of pull that out of you or pull it out of you and kind of disrupt that to the point where you no longer accept yourself. So when we get too far into self-doubt, what happens is eventually, we let the pull of that, sabotage to pull us so much out of that natural rhythm. I am that I am. Like when you're fist pumping at Tony Robbins or Jim Carrey, you're like, yes, I am that I am. In his show, The Grinch, it's like, I am that I am is the perfect example of I am that I am. Okay? It doesn't necessarily have to be a positive. It can also be the Grinch and his soul stories. I am that I am. I'm a little grumpy, and that's just kind of me. And then I get a little, not so happy. So it's not just light, and love. It's also, I am that I am in this moment. I'm going through grief, and I'm allowing myself to grieve so that I can process, so that I can practice self-healing, what it means to forgive, so that I have a stronger muscle in me to forgive and a stronger muscle for self-healing. So every emotion is giving you a stronger muscle. So whatever you seem as really, polarized, everything's polarized. So if you see grief, there's a polarity to grief. And the polarity to grief usually is forgiveness. Forgiveness for yourself, forgiveness for whatever it is that is, is going on. So you're experiencing great death. The polarity to great death is birth, rebirth. So that's just kind of how we are. And one can be very serious and one can be very playful. That's kind of, we talk about the polarity. It can be very serious, very rigid, very tight, very dense, or it can be very uplifted. You play with it, you're moving it. So one implies, an energy of just, I'm sitting in my doubt, and one implies I'm, I'm working it out, I'm just kind of like working it out, like moving it a little bit. I'm trying to get it moving, okay, because I want to get moving, because I don't want to sit in this for too long to the point where I no longer accept that I am worthy to receive. And there's many people on this planet who do not feel worthy to receive good fortune, abundance from the universe, and then they settle, and then they dwell, and then that goes on and on. So managing self-doubt, in my sort of practice of managing self-doubt, is recognizing that I am a co-creator and that the destiny is my making. So that gives back the power to me. So a lot of times, with self-doubt, we wonder, like, is this the right decision? Like, what if I, mess my destiny up, or I kind of ruin something, or did it's a wrong path, and I go spinning off and, that kind of thing. We get spooked, or we get too much anxiety about it, okay? When I just simply breathe, and when I say that I am a co-creator, I'm allowing myself to be crafty, and to be creative, and to be constructive. And so what that looks like for me when there's self-doubt, and we can say overriding self-doubt, is when I second guess myself, usually I practice harder at being talented, and what that means for me. It's going to be different for what that means for you. So, we all have a trade, okay? And our trade is what we go to when all things kind of fail. So we go to that trade, that talent, whatever it is that really helps us to be strong and confident in times of woo kind of thing. So that's usually what helps me to manage self-doubt, is I really just work hard at my talent, my trade. so that moving forward, kind of overcoming the self-doubt, stepping into a new pattern, a new life, a new relationship, a new location, I have that talent so worked out in me that if it doesn't go the way I want it to go, let's say everything fails, that kind of thing, I have that talent as a backup, and that talent makes me feel so assured in myself that I can work it out. I can make it work. And that's probably what talent is. You're a creative problem solver. So even if, you go into this door and you're in like you're like, like you're in a room that you feel kind of locked into, maybe trapped kind of thing, like a maze. You have that talent of creative problem solving so strong in you, whatever that talent may be, that really helps you to get up and to get moving and to trust yourself, whatever that is, you have it there. So when you do overcome that self-doubt and you take that leap of faith, which is what it is, your leap of faith, you have it in you. That talent that you worked out so much in you that, whatever goes, I'm ready. Okay, so anything like the path of Jim Carrey, the path of Tony Robbins, both of those paths are very, very, individualized, very different. And yet the common thing is that they developed their talent big time. And they both had, periods of waiting, periods of, I don't know what's going on, periods of rejection, more rejection, periods of loss of money, loss of loved ones, periods of just upset, kind of. With that talent, they worked on it so much inside of them that it saw them through. It saw them through, all of it. The loss of money, the loved ones, deceased, all of it. And that's really what got Jim Carrey and Tony Robbins, you can say, to the next level. It's how they were able to up-level themselves. Because any path that we say Jim Carrey and Tony Robbins was just extremely extraordinary. I'm going to say extraordinary. It is not ordinary. It is not, the easy road. It is not easy, as Denzel Washington would say. It's not easy what those people did. It was actually a lot more difficult than, the majority. So of course, when you are trying to grow immensely, which those both people are wanted to grow immensely, self-doubt also big time self-doubt. So if you have big time self-doubt, you need big time talent. Okay, talent, like I said, and what you do that really makes you feel good about yourself. Okay, Jim Carrey, like, he loved to make people laugh. That made him feel good. So when, you're broke and you have no money and you're just like, kind of like, oh my gosh, what's going on? You like, okay, I'm going to go out, I'm going to do a comedy show because that what makes me feel really good, and that's what raises my vibration. Same thing as like Tony Robbins. Like, okay, I've lost all this money. I've lost all this money. What makes me feel good is I'm going to, motivate these young couple who are about to divorce and help them see it through, whatever sort of dilemma that's going on. So when overcoming, managing your self-doubt, overcoming your self-doubt is very much just doing that talent as best as you can, as hard as you can, even if your situation, your environment is not exactly what you need, or it maybe is a little shaky, so that you feel so good about yourself. Because to feel good about, when you take it in your hands, not I feel good because I just got all this money for my whatever, or kind of when you really feel good and you know how to feel good consistently, you're gonna get that whatever check that Jim Carrey or Tony Robbins, and you're just gonna be like it's gonna be just a feel good. But not just I finally feel good after misery of my 20 years. No, nobody, you could say, grows when they're all 20 years is misery, and then when they get that check, I feel good. To feel good is why we manifest. Is why we have that abundance, that gratitude, which is the same. Is because we've gotten really good at how to feel good in our talent. And in our trade, and whatever it is that we do daily, consistently, that really up-levels us, that elevates us, that moves us in a way where we feel energized, electrified, and moved. And usually to be moved, as Jim Carrey and Tony Robbins, very different people with kind of same thing, is that they understood a part of what makes me feel good makes other people feel good. So it's almost like my feeling good of service to other people feeling good, that is amplifies abundance tenfold. So, that it is true when you really, you're in something, your talent, whatever it is, your comedian and whatever it is that you really start to light up, like literally you are lit up. And you have that effect where you pull that out of other people. That's we call the ultimate feel good, where you've lit up, you pull that, ignite that in other people, and all of a sudden they're lit up, and all of a sudden they're starting to feel good, and all of a sudden they're starting to feel playful and starting to feel like who they are. I am that I am in their own unique way. As you go, the Tony Robbins sort of theatrics, and you see all these people, and they all are so unique. None of them are doing the same thing. It's like one giant ecstatic dance where everybody's just like, doing their own sort of thing. And it's amazing because of all that freed up energy. Now everybody can actually begin to experience breakthrough, in the shame and the judgment. They can begin to look at it from a higher perspective. They're in the self-doubt. Begin to get into that, okay, I'm co-creating and I'm just going to work really hard at my consistent daily feeling good. So that can be so lit up, even if I'm not getting paid for what lights me up. Because I know, we're that great, we call, abundance, is you were able to light up other people. You were able to, so Jim Carrey, Tony, they got so like lit up in whatever it is that they were doing. And it's not just light, I feel, happy. No, it's also lit up during the down times of using that talent to, help them through difficulties. That lit up people so much. The Grinch lit up so much by that show, more than anything, by that role of him, the Grinch, and Tony Robbins, you could say, because they're able to light me up in a way that is extraordinary. And a lot of it's rare. A lot of people don't have that impact on me, and where they were their feel good, it just doesn't really impact me. It doesn't really light me up as certain people like Tony Robbins or Jim Carrey, just a few examples. So there's something about, in that self-doubt, having I am that I am, very powerful. Because I see people who feel good, but they're not I am that I am. You're basic, sort of substituting things for other sort of real issues kind of thing. But to actually be real with yourself, to real with all of the past, the burden, the self-doubt, the second guessing, to be real with it. We all want to be lit up that way. We all want to be lit up in a way where we become more real with ourselves, not less, because we can't solve problems being, fake, and we can't solve problems just, just staring at the wall. A part of, our growth is being moved. And to be moved as nature is, it's very free-flowing. It unlocks you. It unblocks you. It penetrates you. It strikes you in a way, Jim Carrey, Tony Robbins, that gets you fully accepting of yourself, fully accepting, and not just as a preach, it's actual a lifestyle that these people both have fully welcomed, welcomed into their life, not just in the wealth abundance, but also mostly probably really hardcore during the times when they didn't have the wealth abundance. It was probably a lot hardcore sort of, working on my, self, gotta get myself laid off, okay, you gotta really, really get real. So, this is kind of my, the path that helps me manage and overcome self-doubt so that I can, take that leap of faith and to co-create and to grow and to, when we grow, we grow our sense of security. When we dwell and we stay settling, usually we become really insecure in the way that we don't really feel much movement. A part of, you can say, overcoming insecurity, okay, and becoming more secure in ourselves is that we got to take many, many leaps of faith, and we have to have many experiences. We have to live. And a part of living it's not to live and sort of not look, it's live and get real, get real with yourself about how you're feeling and what you want. And if that's not what you want, get real. Okay? Because a lot of us, we say we want this, but then really it's just a cop-out or just a half-ass, I like to say. I'm just like, you're half-assing me. That's not what you want. Come on. Let's get you know what you want. I'm like, it's okay. If you want to have jet-setting life and your husband just wants to sit at home and do that, that's fine. There's nothing wrong. But you got to be real. That's okay. Just let him know. And if that's, then there's a person that will match with that. But when we're not real, we match with people in a very unauthentic way, and then we're like sort of like confused by why we're not connecting. It's because we're not being real with each other. And that's okay if we have sort of, we want a different sort of life experience. It's fine. That can be provided in a way that can't in this particular connection. But the moment when we start to feel more secure, we start to also get, we start to feel very assured in what we want. So that when we're really insecure, we're really confused by what we want. And the reason we're confused by what we want when it comes to, you can say, like our life, just our life, is that we don't really feel assured in what we want. Or what we want is ego-based. And that confuses us even more because that doesn't really feel real. It feels fake, and then that doesn't really work out and just makes us feel more confused. Okay? When we really just want to get secure, we're wanting to get clear of what we want. We want to feel assured in what we want, that is actually going to happen for me. And that, when I see people who are very secure and very grounded, they're very real, usually they feel very assured about what they want. Because, when I have self-doubt, I feel I'm like, I don't know if this is assured what I'm doing. Like Jim Carrey, Tony Robbins, any person who puts an investment of energy, money, time, it's like, oh, I'm not so assured in that moment of taking that leap of faith. But a part of, we develop that talent, either you develop a talent of investment banking, okay, you develop so strong, so that almost like you just know it. It just moves through you. You just have so much just knowledge about whatever it is. So that when you do take that leap of faith, you're like, okay, I feel pretty confident that I'm gonna make this work, okay? And I'm gonna learn something. So with self-doubt egging you on, it's usually egging you on because you want to grow so much, but you may be denying or kind of like, nervous because it's uncomfortable to grow so much, right? It's uncomfortable to change, move to another city, state, country, get married, have a baby, get divorced, let go of a past relationship that's still hanging on, change a job. It's really, really uncomfortable. It's like immense growth is very uncomfortable. So part of that, that's the birthing ground for self-doubt. So when we want to kind of take that leap of faith, when we're like on shaky ground or feeling insecure within ourselves, just, I am that I am. And I'm feeling a need to awaken and activate myself in a certain way that I'm not here. So I'm going to allow myself to move here or to go there. So when it comes to, intuition, it's going to egg you on just as much as self-doubt will. Intuition will be very consistent because intuition wants you to grow. And self-doubt, wants you to grow as well, but it's kind of thing. So just recognize that consistent intuition is your vision. And most likely the stronger the broadcast of that intuition, the stronger that it's been with probably since the child. So be real with it. Keep going with it. Keep learning. Keep journaling about it. Do some self-psychology why you're drawn to this. Really dive deep into that, and that will really help you to get really hardcore, you could say, about what you need to learn in order to really prepare for your success in that. So we take a leap of faith, but we don't prepare for our success, and then we take that leap of faith and we're like, things are really uncomfortable. But when we prepare for our success, we really listen to ourselves, really dive deep to why I'm drawn to this, or why I want to take this leap of faith, or what do I want to learn or grow why do I want to grow in this certain way. We'll get really prepared in the success of that new growth, of that new relationship, of that new place living somewhere else, of that new job, of that new location. Okay? And that will be instilled in us, so that if we make more changes, we have instilled in us how to prepare for success. It's like pre-prepare. It's like a pre-prepare for success, I like to say. So I'm going to let you guys just go with this. So namaste.